Hel- Hello, everyone. Welcome to the JS Self Care Mind, Body, and Soul podcast. This episode is Journey to Self Care with Sammie B. Sammie B is going to tell us all about her journey. As you all know, that a journey means to JS Self Care is a journey is we on a train. Sometimes we make stops along our way, along our life journey. Sometimes those train stops, I call them a train, right? You know how the train stops, goes, and sometimes we get off the train, we fall down, but we keep getting up. And Sammie B is going to tell us all of her story. But before she starts and introducing herself, my name is Janelle. I am the founder of JS Self Care LLC. I'm also the founder of Self Care JS Incorporation. I just became a nonprofit, so I'm super
Wow.
excited to spend this day with Sammie to get to know her so that she can tell us all about her journey to self. So, Sammie, without further ado, let the world know what was that journey for you? How did it start? Where you're at now? Because remember, your journey is going to be it's going to keep going. So it
Yes.
doesn't stop
Yes.
here. There is going to be train stops along the way. So
Mhm.
never think when we fall down and you're not going to never get back up. We're
Mhm.
always going to get back up. There's
Yes.
always going to be bumps in the road. So
Yeah.
let us know who you are, what
Okay.
you got going on.
Okay.
Tell us your story.
Yes. So I'm Sammie B. I definitely represent love, light, and positive energy. That is my independent record label. And I also have Sammie B Creative LLC, where I sell my merchandise, my paintings, things like that. And my journey is who I am, because like who I am as an artist is me. There's no difference. It's not like I just like become this person when I hit the stage. Like when I make music, I am always myself, and it's derived from my journey. And it's powerful. It's like straight from the soul, and that's how I just live my life every day, because I was in darkness for a while, for many years. And now that I'm like in the light today and I get to live in this light, I I try to like spread it.
So we're happy that you're spreading your light. You are so beautiful, and I can see the light shining right over you. So continue to spread that light. We all need it. I need it. Um, just a little bit about my journey is in October 11, 2018, I lost my mom to
Mm.
hypoxia, which is no oxygen in the brain.
Wow.
I birthed self care. That's how self care started. I didn't know my purpose. What was this? Why did my mother die?
Mm.
What was that purpose? Because sometimes they say, someone you lose someone to find your purpose. And
Mm.
my mom sacrificed her life. And then guess what happened? Boom, October 11th was the worst day, right? We
Mm.
thought when my mother died.
Yeah.
Well, May 11th, 2021, my dad died of a drug overdose. And since then, I've been connecting with people. And when I say like minded people, people that taught me not to be judgmental because I was,
Mm.
people that taught me harm reduction because I had no clue about harm
Mm.
reduction with my dad. I would walk around, Dad, just say no,
Mm.
just say no. And he would never just say no.
Mm.
And I didn't understand it. I was like, do you not love your family? Do you not love us? It wasn't that he didn't
Right.
love us.
Right.
Love had nothing to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
It was he was self medicating from a mental illness
Yeah.
to now drug addiction to fentanyl coming onto the world and just
Mm.
taking over. And then I connected with people like you. And I'm sorry to say, I no longer say, just say no. I now ask, what could we do to help you?
Mm.
What do
Yeah.
you see as you helping you? Harm reduction looks different ways for many people. Some people go to NA, some people go to AA, some people use harm reduction
Mm.
drugs to test their drugs and things like that. And people are like, are you promoting drug use? You know that's illegal. Yes, I know that's
Mm-hmm.
illegal.
Of course.
But I also know that just say no doesn't work.
Mm.
And Nancy
Mm-hmm.
Reagan, one of our first ladies, had started this just say no. And that was the only education I had was just say no. So can you tell us what happened to Sammie B?
Yeah.
What started the new Sammie B? How do you fight every day,
Yeah.
every second?
I would love to, and I'm honored to. Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here because this is a beautiful mission that you have. And yeah, when I was younger, same thing, mental illness, and I didn't realize that I was struggling with mental illness. I didn't understand why I was having night terrors, why I was having like suicidal ideations, why I felt so sad, like waves of sadness for no reason. My story is like I had a good childhood. I had a great, loving family. I had anything I really needed, or so it seemed. And that's why to me it didn't even make sense. Like to me, it didn't make sense. I didn't understand why I was the way I was and why I was so sad and like, thinking all the crazy things, right? That whatever, man. And it's like what happened is it took me down like this path of self-destruction and not understanding and not loving myself and not taking care of myself and self-medicating. And so when I was in high school, I fell in love, right? And think this is my first love, young love. You know how it is. It makes you crazy
Yes, it
and
does.
just out of my mind. And so around the time too, my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And so being an addict, like having an addictive personality or whatever you want to call it, is like I will use anything to get me outside of myself. Like not just the drugs, like anything. And so I was not without my awareness, like using this person, I was with this person every day, just day in and day out, and I was smoking and drinking and doing the things that like a lot of teenagers
Teenagers
do,
do. Yep.
and I was just partying and it seemed normal. And so when my dad was sick, it was like to watch him go from like Superman, like to like deteriorating almost in front of my eyes. Like I was not able to be present for it because it just hurt too much to be there. And so I was it turned from every weekend to smoking every day to dabbling with other stuff to being so more curious for like other things that would allow me to escape my reality. And when I got out of high school, I went to college because, education, do
Society.
what you do it, that's what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
And I, I went, and my first year, I got ghosted by the love of my life. That made me absolutely, brokenhearted, right? And changed the trajectory of like where my life would go and in my mind and everything. And then my father passed away.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you. And that was March 5th, 2013. So 10 years ago, and that was really life changing. And at that time, now I was like in college, so I had this new freedom where like my mom wasn't checking on me, my dad wasn't checking on. I kind of could do
Whatever you want.
kind of pretty much, and so that led me to getting into other types of crowds of people and dabbling into more drugs. And I just wanted to try everything possible, mix this with this. I didn't care, and I became like reckless. And so I don't know how, I got my associate's degree, and then I said, okay, I have it, I'm not going back to school. And I went where like my disease felt most comfortable, of addiction, my disease, the sickness. And it took me right to the block. It took me right to hanging out with people who were selling drugs, doing crazy things, and I felt comfortable there somehow, right?
Yeah.
And I thought about it today. I was literally lounging at my pool, and I'm like, this is beautiful. Like life is beautiful. And I was like, I can't believe that every day I chose to be in the midst of the chaos. But that's because that's where my mind was. That's where my spirit was. Yeah.
So I want to say this. A lot of people think that you guys choosing this lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share with you guys that the first time that they ever use, that we ever drink, if that's some of us that drink, the first time that we drink, that is a choice. Once we start doing it repetitively,
Mhm.
once we start, like for heroin addicts,
Mhm.
you know, for heroin addicts, they need it. They
Mhm.
cannot just stop.
They become physically
Yes.
dependent.
So the body needs it at that point because our brain has opioid receptors. Our brain doesn't have marijuana receptors. Our
Mhm.
brain doesn't have cocaine receptors, but they do have opioid receptors that sit snug in our
Mhm.
brain.
Mhm.
And because of those opioid receptors, we now get these body aches and stuff. I remember growing up and thinking that chocolate bars would help my dad
Mm.
to get him so that he could get his bag of heroin. My dad paid $10 for a bag. So most of the time that's what he would ask for, $10. And when he became an alcoholic, he used McCall's. That was his drink. It was $2.
Mm.
So it's
Wow.
either he was asking for $10 or $2. And it's not a choice every day once you
No.
guys become addicts. And I'm putting that in the new book. It's not a choice. Never think that a person wakes up, like you say, you went to college.
Mm.
You didn't wake up and say, I'm going to be a drug addict or I'm going to be a crackhead or I'm going to be an alcoholic. That's nothing nobody
Right.
dreams and aspires to. Like, when I grow up, I'm just going to be this person.
Right.
Things happen.
Mhm.
Your dad happened.
Mhm.
Undiagnosed mental illness happen.
Mhm.
All of these things happen. So, on this, and I want to teach the world that the first time may be a choice, but never think every day you woke up and chose the block, or every day you woke up and chose the the drugs. You were in active addiction,
I was in the grips, caught
and
up.
you weren't Sammy.
No.
You
No.
weren't Sammy
No.
B. You weren't this lovely person right here. No, you were
No.
an addict, and you were exhibiting addict behaviors.
That's
So
true.
those that loved you, they loved Sammy B because they knew Sammy B when she wasn't
Mhm.
using. And when Sammy B became this other person, can you tell us how did that help with relationships in your life?
It definitely shifted relationships, not in a good way. And
Mhm.
I've learned too that even in recovery, like it's all about relationships, relationship with self, relationship with God, or whatever you believe in,
Mhm.
you know. But yeah, like my relationship suffered, especially the one with my mom, because me and her so tight. And I remember looking in her face,
Mhm.
and I remember, she's not the type to scream. She had it, and she'd be screaming, and I just felt so bad. Like I never like yelled back because I knew that I was wrong. I knew what I was doing wasn't right, and I knew that she had raised me better and things like that, but I just couldn't help it. I just couldn't stop. And so I'll never forget the look on her face. And a lot of times I think about that and I'm like, wow, the pain that I caused other people. And because I was in such darkness, I didn't even see the pain that I was causing other people because I was so blinded by my own pain.
Mhm.
And so relationships suffered. When it came to friends, I didn't even really believe in friends. You were just acquaintances or you were my family. And that's something I learned coming into recovery too, is that like I can have a level of trust with people. That if I'm around the right people, they will want what's good for me.
Yeah.
And like it won't just be everybody's out to get me, or so that was my mindset with that. And like love, forget it, that'll never happen again. Like I was just, you know, gave up on that. So when it came to a relationship with myself and my higher power, like I grew up Catholic. So I was given a God, right? And
Mhm.
and I used to pray and everything. And I mean, we weren't religious really, but I prayed,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
meant a lot to me as a kid. And then when my dad was diagnosed with cancer and we kept getting worse and worse and worse news, I was like, mm-mm,
It can't be no God, right?
yeah.
Why
And when
would
he
you do
passed
this?
away, I was like, there's no, like, I'm done. I was so angry with God that I
Mhm.
completely cut off that relationship in my life. And the relationship with myself was completely, I was fearless in a sense that self-destructive, didn't care if I died. I would put myself in extreme situations and harm, and just be like, hopefully I die, because I was in so much pain that I genuinely wanted to die or kill myself or get killed or every day. And I would think about that every day. And it's almost like you spoke on choices. And yeah, I agree. When we're a kid, we don't realize just partying like kids do that it would snowball into what it did. And no idea, right? No idea.
Nobody
And
wakes up. And
no,
that's what I tell people. No one wakes up and want to live a life of pain.
no. We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into.
into.
And we cannot stop once we start.
Nope.
We cannot.
No, it's not just like a light switch where you could cut it on and cut it off.
No, it's really not. And so I'm just grateful.
So can you tell us, I know we're jumping all over, but tell us what that beginning of life, like you say, you had this lover, and then what was your exact first drug you tried?
Was definitely alcohol and weed, for sure. That
And-
early, and very early too.
Yes.
Very
How
early.
old would you say?
Probably 11, 12.
And that's seeing the bottles at home and just taking a sip
And
of
being
it.
curious of what's this,
Or what the adults are doing.
Uh-huh.
Why they acting funny and we not having that much fun.
Uh-huh.
So I most definitely get it. I want to say, I too grew up, my family used to party and stuff. And when they would fall asleep, we would take a sip of the
Right.
whatever was left, right?
Right.
And that's what happened. But you went from my dad told me he started off with a cigarette and then he went to weed. You went from weed is marijuana, marijuana, you said alcohol, then marijuana, and what was your next drug?
And cigarettes too,
Cigarette.
because a lot of part of it too, as a younger person, was trying to be cool and trying to fit in and be in the life of the party. And so once I got that type of look, I rolled with that.
Right.
And so I'm trying to think what was the next. I don't know. It's kind of crazy because I remember even going in the medicine cabinet and drinking like NyQuil and Delsum and chugging it, and because someone told me that you would get an effect from it. And so once I did that, I was like, every once in a while I was dabbling into that. And I got introduced to coke and acid and all different types of drugs, all of them. And I ended up doing so many things that I said I would never do. Like so many things I said I would never do. Drug-wise, whatever it took to get the drugs, I did not care. I was taking money from my own family. It gets to be intense.
As a kid, I remember sleeping with our money in our panties, to be honest. So my dad wouldn't take I remember the honeymooners, and those that know me growing up, the honeymooners was big to me, and it would come on at 11 o'clock. And I didn't know when the next time I would have a TV to watch the honeymooners, because my dad would steal the TV and sell it.
Yeah.
So I know that he's done things, and you have probably done things. I do think us women, for women that use drugs, it's harder because sometimes you guys have to have sexual encounters. They did say, I mean, from all the studying, that men do too. So it's not just a woman thing,
That's
but
true. Yeah, that's true.
men also have to have sex. I mean, my father would go out there and cheat on my mom with women, so for drugs and heroin and cocaine.
Yeah.
He's made other children along their marriage. So I know that was. So did you actually have like a drug of choice, like something you stuck with? Because did you end up giving up the alcohol and the marijuana as you graduated?
Yes, towards the end. Yeah, like at the end of my road, I didn't have the money for alcohol. I didn't even care about by the time I hit 21 anymore. And that was just me, because I found harder drugs. I found a better way
Coping
to get
skill.
high, in my mind, right? And so weed I used to have every day, all day, every day, and it never stopped since the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. But as like my disease progressed and my drug use progressed, um, if I didn't have the money for marijuana, I was not getting it. That didn't matter anymore. It didn't get me high enough anymore, you know. And so even with the cocaine and with heroin as well, and crack, and pills, you know, all different types of pills. And I was also selling a lot of stuff too. Um, and a lot of addicts do that because it's
absolutely.
like that's the world that we're in. And if we connect with certain people who are doing that, we're like, okay, we could do that too, so that we could get some money to use more and end up becoming our best customer, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as I think my dad was a big time drug dealer. We had thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, suitcases, garbage bags. He came home with a garbage bag full of money growing up. And we were so excited. I mean, one time he came with bags and bags of jewelry, but old jewelry. That means he robbed the elderly. Um, and you know, my heart goes out to those that was affected by my father's behavior. And I hope that the world could forgive him and forgive you as well, because it wasn't Sammie B, it wasn't my dad, it was an addict. And they were chasing things that made them feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. Because truly, I feel like I came to a point where, and it's sad because it was years that I was like this, where I would wake up and I'd either have to try to go back to sleep because the depression and all of that, or go out and find a way to get high, or kill myself. And I felt like those were my three options. I mean, I wasn't taking care of myself at all. I was barely showering. Like, I was willing to sleep wherever. I was out walking around with no shoes. You know, I was just.
Were you kicked out of mom's home? Did they tell you to eventually leave?
No, and that's the thing. So my mom, it's funny, man. I love that woman so much
You better.
because yes, because she knows me so well, and at times probably even better than I know myself. Sometimes, right?
She
Especially
gave
back
birth
then.
to you. Yeah.
And so my mom, she didn't give up on me, and I'm so grateful because I was so willing to give up on myself. I really was, but because she didn't give up on me, you know, every time I thought about killing myself and I came that close, I would see my mom, and I would picture my mom finding me like that. And I couldn't do it.
And I'm glad you didn't.
I couldn't do it. And so me
I'm
too.
glad you're
Me
here.
too.
You're
Me
glad
too. Yeah. And
It's just part of recovery. Being glad that you made it through.
So grateful.
Because so many didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. But people were telling my mom, you know, just kick her out. She's never going to learn. You're enabling her, you know. And she probably was, but she knew me, you know, and I think she knew I would give up on myself if she did that. But what happened was, and this was the ultimatum eventually that I was given, my mom said, so I was at my job and something crazy happened. They said, listen, we got to fire you. And actually, at the time, my cousin was my boss. And he pulled me into the office and he's like, I have to fire you, you know? And I'm like, wow, really? He's like, yeah, you know, and he's like, come into this office. My mom comes to the job. I see her walking. I'm like, uh-oh, what is this? They take me into this office and they're like, we're setting you up to go to rehab. You need help. And my mom was like, if you don't take the help, if you don't go to rehab, like, we have the flight booked, you are going to stay there for at least 30 days, you know, and we're going tomorrow. You know, I was like, what? Yeah, they set that up really fast. And I guess because they just saw how bad it was getting, you know. I mean, I had gotten arrested so many times. I got 2 DWIs, DWAIs, driving while ability impaired. A lot of crazy things, right, that comes along with that lifestyle. And so they said, my mom said, you know, you could either go to rehab and get help, or you could pack up your stuff and go do whatever it is that you're doing over there but you have no connection to the family. We don't want anything to do with you if that's your choice, because you're killing us, especially me. And I was like, oh my God, like I made the best decision of my life that day to go. And I'm glad that the next day, even though I found a way to get high first, my last time in my mind, but I went to rehab. And what's even more crazy is this disease is that when I was there, I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to do this successfully when I get back. I'm going to figure out how to do this without the repercussions and the consequences of what I do. I'm going to be able to not do it as much.
Okay.
Not do something, not, I really thought that I would be okay.
What program was that you went to? Well, the first one.
I went down to Florida, in all the way to Port St. Lucie.
So they had the ticket, everything bought.
And I was gone. And they extended my stay because they said, girl, you are not ready yet. So I was there for 2.5 months. And when I came back, I went to meetings, and they told me to go to meetings. They said, first day out, go to meetings. They told my mom too. They said, you better get her to a meeting. We know she has no license. It's taken away. Bring her to a meeting. So we went, and I remember my first meeting. And I remember people being so nice and welcoming. And I was like, this is so weird, but I went the next day, and I went the next day, and people were like really loving on me because I was starting to raise my hand and tell people who I was. And I'm grateful that like I'm really not a shy person, that I was like willing to raise my hand. And
Did you go to NA or AA meetings?
I went to NA. Okay. Yeah. In rehab though, I was introduced to both. But I figured NA is what suited me.
Right.
What suited me best. And like I started building relationships with women and people in the fellowship who really genuinely shared themselves with me, and I related to them, and I'm like, wow, these people understand me on a different level.
They understand you because they were addicts. So any story you came to those, they call them rooms, come to the rooms with, they knew they were genuine.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, these people really want to see me doing good. And then I would start to listen to their stories and be touched by it and be like, wow, wow. And I'd go out after to like the diner or the pizza shop or to events. And I started to learn kind of how to have fun and be like, this is crazy that I could actually laugh with people and be genuinely laughing.
With no judgment.
Without being high. I was like, wow. I didn't think it was possible.
How many years has it been since you laughed being sober before then? How many years before?
Since this last time?
Yes. When you went into this program and you said, I got to laugh. How many years has been since you laughed?
I couldn't even tell you.
A genuine laugh.
A genuine, because, I couldn't even tell you. Wow. I mean, since I was a kid. I really look at my life in like 3 lifetimes, to be honest, because I think about what it was like when I was a kid and how pure and innocent and beautiful life was.
Yeah.
And then I think about when the drugs came along and that madness, and that was like a good decade of my life. And then when I got clean, and since then, this has been just like the most beautiful part of my journey yet. It's been nothing short of incredible, miraculous, and I'm grateful. That's all I could say, because I truly am. Like, I didn't think when I was using it, and even when I was like teenager, starting to really go through some mental health issues, I didn't believe that I even had a future. I was like, I just saw darkness. I couldn't see it. I thought that I was going to die young because I was just so depressed.
You was giving up.
I was already giving up. No. I already had myself in the grave. Yeah.
Wow. So you went to this program. You get to laugh. You went to the rooms. Get to laugh some more. You get to learn you.
Yes.
Was that your only program you went to?
It was, yeah. And I want to say too that the disease really is powerful, right? Because yes, these things were happening. and I was starting to build relationships with women who were strong in their recovery and guiding me, but I still couldn't stop using. And I wanted to, and I was going to the meetings, and I was acting like I'm in it, but I wasn't fully in it.
Because you were still using.
I was still caught up. So I had, I don't know, the 2.5 months clean, sober, whatever. I got out and I lasted, I don't know, a few weeks. And then I got hell off of one thing. And I said, oh, that's only...
What was the one thing? The alcohol?
The one thing was, and this is, not many people do this, was huffing. Was huffing. And I said that doesn't count because that's not a real drug. So I'm not gonna say anything, you know? And then I said, my second thing was the weed, and I said, well, that doesn't count. It's just weed. And then the third time, and I said, ooh, well, I definitely relapsed. I said, you know, it was coke and it was all these, and I was speedballing again, mixing the stuff, and you know, and I was I was off to the races again, and I had like close people to me fooled because I was able to kind of hide it a little better and still going to meetings and seeming as if I was living differently. And I was, but I was not fully in it.
Still dipping.
I was still caught up. I was still dealing with like the obsession and the compulsion to get high. And it wasn't until I overdosed on PCP, because I did everything I told you, you know. And I didn't even know you could overdose on it, and it wasn't until that my eyes were like open, and my experience was wild. I mean, I heard my dad's voice, everything. I was like on my way out.
What did your dad say? What was the voice you heard?
This is crazy, right? So, wow. I'll never forget this. And I'll tell you what, the most beautiful, scary, every emotion experience of my entire life, but the most transformative moment of my life. So I saw the light, and I felt my spirit moving towards it so fast because I was in darkness for so long that I was like, wow, the light, you know, and I'm going, and it feels so good. I'm like, yes, thank God, you know, and I hear my dad's voice, and he said, slow down. And it wasn't like his sick cancer voice. My dad had a trach and everything. He had cancer in his esophagus. It moved to his lungs, and so his voice was messed up for 2.5 years.
Right.
And so it was his healthy voice, and I recognized it, and it stopped me right in my tracks. Wow. And I was like, okay. I was like, whoa. And I felt the presence of God. And I felt God give me these 3 options. Okay, you have 3 options. God was like, you could be stuck in this way forever. Because a lot of people get stuck in a high. And whatever that sounded like didn't sound good. I was ready to listen to the second one.
Yeah, you was ready for God, bring me choice number 2 now.
Right, because whatever that sounds like, I don't want to be stuck like that. So then God says, right? And it's like, I don't know how to describe it, right? But come be at peace. And when I tell you, the feeling throughout my entire body felt like, wow, peace. Imagine that. And I knew that was the light, and I knew that was the end if I would have chosen that. And option 3 was, or you could turn your will over to me. Let me take care of you. Let me guide you. And you will live an amazing, beautiful life. And I, once again, pictured my mom. And I said, no, I want to live.
I want option 3, God.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And I came to.
And was that the end of your
And
drugs?
It wasn't the end.
Was it? So what happened then?
Isn't that wild to think about?
I mean, I can relate.
Yeah.
I never was an addict, but I took my dad from drug program to drug program, went in crack houses, got him. They had a gun to my dad's head. I jumped in front of a gun at 9 years old.
Wow.
So I know, that's why I said, was that the end? That was your journey. You're still on the journey.
Yes.
And you going, you hearing your dad's voice. You feel like you're hurting your mom because your dad is not here.
And the whole rest of my family and loved ones and friends who, there was, friends just went, but there was a couple that stuck by me, knowing who I am too, being like,
I know Sammie is in there. She's in there. And everybody's fighting.
Yeah.
So even though a lot of people think that addicts are just fighting, or those in active addiction is just fighting, it's the whole family.
Yeah. It's like a family
whole
disease.
Yes.
It really
So then
is.
what happened to Sammie?
So that day I felt like I gave a promise to God. God just saved my life.
Yes, he did.
And so, I went home, I told my mom I was bawling my eyes out. And I tried to keep it from her, but she knew I was not right. She's like, what? And I was home late. I wasn't answering. She's like, what happened? Sit with me. And I told her everything that happened. And she was like, okay. And that's her first to hearing about that I relapsed too.
Wow. Yep. Because you was able to hide it, by going to the meetings and all that stuff.
So now I'm still going to meetings. I'm still talking to people who my sponsor is now. I was in contact with back then, and I was starting to talk to people more and get deeper about what was going on, about what happened. And I was using it against my will, because I would find myself on the block, or I'd find myself getting high, and I would be crying, and I wouldn't even be getting high anymore. And I'd be like, why am I doing this? And it was like terrible,
Yeah.
And it was so bad because I couldn't stop. And my depression and my shame and my guilt and my just like, what am I? Why can't I stop? That it got so bad that I told my mom I'm gonna kill myself. So you need to bring me somewhere. I need to check myself into a psych ward or something. And that's what I did. I checked myself into the psych ward because I was helpless. I was hopeless, helpless. Orange Regional. Yeah, in Middletown. Yeah.
What was that like? Is that where you got your first mental diagnosis?
No, so that's a part that I haven't told you about. So my father saved my life so many times, man. I'll tell you that. But when he passed away, I gave it a little time, but that's when I found like, okay, I could finally tell my mom that I'm depressed, that I'm not okay mentally. Because now I felt like I had a reason.
Right, because Dad died.
Right. And so she's like, okay, I'll get you help. We'll see what I could do about, how I could help you. I went to therapy, psychiatrist. I was on so many different medications. I went through so many therapists and medications, so many.
Yeah.
And it's wild that you bring this up, because when I went to the psych ward is when I got prescribed what I'm on now for my depression. I've been on it ever since.
Does it work?
And it works. And you know what? Guess what? I'm not willing to go off of it.
It's not an option. It's part of your lifestyle.
And you know what? I might be okay because I know that the drug use had a lot to do with why I was so depressed. And now that I haven't been for so long, it's possible that I'd be okay without it. But I'm not willing to take the chance. Why take the risk?
I agree.
Why?
Like
it doesn't get me
people,
high. It's not a narcotic.
If it works for you, why change it?
It's a psych med. And you know what? And I've needed it, obviously, since I was a kid. There's an imbalance chemically in my brain. And so now that I'm off the drugs, I take my medication every day. Like, I'm living a life that I couldn't even imagine. Like, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, every aspect. Seriously. Yeah.
I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
And it was a psych hospital that saved you. Am I correct?
So that was a part of the journey.
Okay, so we still on.
So after the psych ward, I get out and I am, now I'm really like, wow, really shooken up. I'm going to meetings, still going to events, and now I'm going every day. I did like a 90 and 90. They suggested that. But I still couldn't stop. I remember my last night using, and it wasn't different from many other nights. It was just that, like, I was on too many uppers and was needed to go to sleep. I hadn't slept. I was searching my house for a downer just to go to sleep. I was crying. I was so tired.
And your brain wouldn't stop.
And I just couldn't. And that's when, so people in the program and people in rehab, in recovery, had told me spirituality is a huge part of my recovery.
Yes.
They told me, start praying again. They said, please start praying again. And I first started praying after 4.5 years in rehab for the first time. I was on the bathroom floor screaming and crying, praying, you know, and so I incorporated that into my daily life. You know, they told me to check in physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally with myself. How am I doing in these areas?
Yeah.
And so when I was going to the rooms, you know, they encouraged to get in touch spiritually as well, to have a higher power, to allow that higher power to help me. And so they also told me to pray for my obsession and compulsion to use to be lifted. And that's what I did that night. And I genuinely felt I'm done. Like, I don't want to feel this pain anymore. I am tired. I am over it. Like, please, God, help me. I don't want to do this anymore. You know, you got me through this, and I want to do this. Like, I want to be better. And I woke up the next day. I'm going about my day, going to a meeting, and I realized, like, towards the end of that day that, like, I didn't have the craving to get high. And that was mind-blowing to me, because it was every day, day in and day out, day in and day out. It was like fighting, just a fight, constant fight. And so now it was lifted
because of prayer.
Because of prayer. And it gave me the choice. It gave me my choice back.
And now, what's happening with you now? Do you still have that choice to be Sammie B?
Yeah. So as of July 12, 2017, I was afforded the choice. God saw fit to give me that choice back. And I haven't found a reason to use. And I have every once in a while had a craving or had a thought or had a feeling. And I was taught and given tools to allow myself to feel, allow myself this moment, find help, reach out, and let it pass, because it will pass eventually. But I have the choice. If I was to use any time from that moment going on forward, it was because I chose to, you know. And I will say it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's so worth it. And it's so beautiful, and it's so doable since getting that choice, since like keeping meetings in my life and those people in my life, since the relationships with my family have grown so strong and so beautiful. And then my relationships with these friends now, people I could really call friends. And like music and art has been such a huge part of my life, a huge part. At one point in my life, music was all I had. That was my only healthy outlet. Everything else was not healthy at all. And so I jumped back into that part of me that just blossomed, and it was able to blossom because I was clean, because I was spiritually aligned and centered.
So music was throughout the addiction.
Yeah, it was.
And they do say music is like a counselor. Music is healing. Music is uplifting. And
you get to get it out.
With music. And as I think like to Mary J. Blige, you know, her telling her story, and Amy Winehouse, and all those who, you know, actively use Ricky Smiley's son. When I follow him, and when he was like, my son died, my spirit, and nobody knew. We didn't know his son was sick. I didn't know nothing about his son. I said, it was fentanyl. And, you know, people was like, Janelle, what do you mean? I said, I'm telling you, that look, when he was in the camera, I knew that look, because I had that look. I had that look with Ricky Smiley. I had that look. Now, no, it wasn't my brother, it was my dad. But it's like a look that comes upon us, because we questioning our faith. Because
Mhm.
everybody think God is bringing the drugs, then they start saying the devil is bringing the drugs, and this one,
Mhm.
it's humans bringing the drugs. It's humans,
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
But we always want to look to someone to blame,
Yeah.
and it's not that case. So I am super glad
Mhm.
that you have made the choice to live the path that you need to live,
Yeah.
because your path won't be nobody else's path. That's why it's called your journey.
Mhm.
I can't get on this journey with you. It's Sammie's journey, and you got to follow that train.
Mhm.
And just remember, there is no last stops. Not right now for you.
Yeah.
So you're on this train, and what are you doing now?
Yeah.
So we found spirituality,
right.
music wise. I heard Breathe and
Mhm.
Elevate, your
Mhm.
2 songs. And I keep playing them on our thing, and I'm like, a breath of fresh air
Yeah.
goes a long way.
Yeah. This is actually my Breathe shirt,
Mm-hmm.
part of my merchandise and stuff.
It's
Breathe
pretty.
is my most recent single, because so it's a song that I needed to hear, that I feel like a lot of people needed to hear, was to just breathe, because now that my life has become so full, and so like I'm like, wow, I could do anything if I could get clean and stay clean, find this new way to live, enjoy life, and have these dreams that I'm like, I believe I could do anything I put my mind to now.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm like overwhelming. I find myself overwhelmed and anxious, and so I created a song to like remind myself to just breathe.
Be the reminder.
My own song helped me through one of my own anxiety attacks I was having.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so I know that it has been able to help other people in that same way.
It helps everybody. So when we on autopilot,
Mm.
when we're chasing whatever we're out there chasing, we don't pay mind to breath. Yes, we're all breathing, but we
Mhm.
don't pay mind to breath. And just breathe. Close your eyes and breathe in
Mhm.
through your nose, out through your mouth, and just hold it so you could honor that breath.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love the music.
Thank you.
And I think everybody should download Sammie B's music, because it'll help you get to where you need to elevate. Just that little push.
Yeah.
And that push was your mom.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
background noise was your dad.
Mhm.
He was in the background.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Yeah.
You're speeding.
You're,
Slow down.
Yes.
So that slow down stuck for me as you were speeding through life.
Mhm.
Now, I know you got the business venture. I'm a business owner. With business,
Yes. Yes.
it's a high within itself. It's going, and sometimes we get
Non-stop.
calls, and
Mhm.
it's moving.
Yeah.
And nights I'm up all night, working on the business, trying to elevate,
Right.
realizing that certain things I wanted to try didn't work. This tried didn't work. What does that look like for you now with the business? Like, what are we doing? Music.
Yes.
Art.
Music, art, poetry, DJing, producing my beats. I write, I rap, I sing. Wherever my soul goes, wherever I feel led, feel called, that's where I go. That's what I do. I create straight from the heart. I really do. I get inspired every day. A lot of things inspire me today. Like I look at the world, like my perspective of life is, I mean, completely 180 of what it used to be. Yeah. But yeah, the music. I'm actually next month, September 17th, I'll be performing the Authentic Path to Self-Esteem. It's a self-love event. There's going to be speakers and performers. Remedy Love and Keisha Hall are presenting this. It's $10, and for anyone 18 and younger, it's free. There's no vendor fee, so there will be vendors. Um, and all of the profits go to the Newburgh Performing Arts
Wow.
Academy, which is beautiful.
So I will be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to check my calendar, but September 17th
Yes.
does not ring a bell to me. So
I hope
I
to see you there.
want
Yes.
to be there. I want to
Yeah.
support you. I want to follow you. I want to enjoy your fruits.
Hmm.
Because,
And I love that it's about the journey, because I'm all about the joys in the journey.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. So, Sammie B, we're looking out. Are we going to get more music?
Of course, yes.
More events?
More events, more performances, more music, more singles, more albums, more visuals. I will be DJing more often. Like I said, wherever I feel called to be, led to. It's
And
not
that's
even my.
good.
I just do it.
Do it.
I
Yeah.
just do it. I just know it because I'm aligned.
And people who don't know this journey, who don't know self, a lot of people will be like, "You're going too fast, slow down."
Mhm.
I'm like, I can't. I got things to do.
Yes.
And they're like, slow down. And I do know that slow down is good,
Mhm.
but I also know that I want to tell people my mother died for self care. My dad died. My mother died for JS Self Care to be birthed.
Mhm.
My father died for Self Care JS Incorporation to be birthed. They sacrificed their lives.
It's deeper than what people could
It's
imagine.
deeper than what people can imagine. And that's what is for you.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
deeper
It's deeper
than mom's vision, than dad's vision. It's deeper because so many times you could have been gone.
Mhm.
But so many times your father saved you, God saved you, spirituality saved you, you going in a program saved you, you getting your mental diagnosis saved you. All of these things told you that we don't want you upstairs. You're not welcome upstairs right now.
It is not your time.
It is not your time.
Yeah.
So you had given me a button that focus on the good. So many times in the world that we live in, we focus on everything going wrong and how horrible life is and how bad things are.
Yeah.
But if we just take the time and focus on what's right in front of us, the good. We woke up this morning.
That's it.
We're sitting here together. We met each other.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yes.
And then your sticker with a QR code. I love this.
Yeah.
Love, light, and positive energy. Now, this month is National Drug Overdose Awareness on its International Day. I'm sorry, not the month. And I see you use purple. Why did you choose purple?
So my three main colors, because they're my favorite colors, are pink, purple, and blue. They always have been my favorite colors, and it just,
So this purple to me is if anyone died, your loved one died of a drug overdose, we wear purple. So this like touched from a gift from you, but also touched deeper because love, light, and positive energy is what you're spreading.
Yeah.
And I receive it. So thank you.
Yes.
If you could leave our viewers with any quote, any saying, any teaching, what would you leave them? That way they could say, you know what? Sammie B entered my life. What would that be?
I would tell people to never give up on themselves and to never give up on your dreams. Never give up on yourself, because truly anything is possible. And I would encourage people to practice self love and self care, however that may look, and to reach out for help, because we don't need to, and we shouldn't have to, do this life alone.
Thank you. That's why it's called more than one person.
Yeah.
So I could do this all by myself. It really shouldn't be a saying because we can't.
No, I can't do this without you. Without I couldn't do this just me. A musician can't be successful without fans. How do I? Do you know what I'm saying? There's so many ways to put it, but we don't have to do this alone. Don't give up. Reach out for help. allow the love into your life that you deserve, and just don't give up, because I truly believed that there wasn't a future. I was truly hopeless and helpless, and I am the complete opposite, the furthest from that today.
Because you want to live.
Yeah, for sure. And not just live, like live my very best
Best
life,
life.
knowing it's possible. And not only is it possible, it's already written.
Yeah, it
It is
is.
for me.
It is. And guys, I'm glad you just said that. What is for you, who's
Mhm.
listening to this, is for you. And when it's for you, can't nobody take it from you.
Mhm.
Don't go out there stealing what is for others, because you will crash and burn. But what is for you will always be for you. So I want to thank you, Sammie B, for getting on, connecting with me, and not knowing how we connected is the best part,
Don't
guys.
even remember.
So, guys, no matter
Yeah.
what your journey is, start it right now. You're never too young to start it, and
No.
you're never too old to start it.
No.
Start your journey to self. Get to know who you are.
Mhm.
Get to know the things that you don't like about yourself, opposed to the things that you love yourself. So,
Mhm.
Sammie B, I'm gonna put all your information into the comments. Connect with us. Get to know who we are, why we do what we do, because we do what we do. We come from transparent places. That means nothing scripted in our life.
Mhm.
Our life had bumps and bruises, and we fell down so many times. We fell on our knees, got back up, and we want to know what questions you have for us. Connect with us. Please follow Sammie B
Yes.
on
Instagram
Instagram.
at Sammie Bizzle, SammieBizzle, Sammie Bizzle.
Is that where you're mostly
Yeah,
currently?
Instagram. Yeah.
Instagram.
I
So
have a YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff. But just check it out. You could even look up on Google Sammie
yeah,
B.
she is
So
Googleable. That means that she's out here doing the work.
yeah.
She's not just living in the work. She's actually doing the work to become better. And when I say living in, she's not flatline doing us. She's walking. She's putting one foot in front of the
Mhm.
other. So
Yep.
thank you guys. Have an amazing day on purpose.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
we hope that you enjoy this. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Follow so that you can see where we're going to be at one, how you can connect with us, because you too have a story. And Sammie B and I want to hear your story, and we want to see where we can help you along your journey. So have an amazing day on purpose, guys.
Thank you. Bling.